Launch Art in the Age of Solidarity is on display at the Terhune Gallery in the Center for Fine and Performing Arts building at Owens Community College. Artist Simone Spruce has 3 prints featured within the exhibit. Simone Spruce, please share with us what those prints are and your involvement with Launch Art in the Age of Solidarity.
The prints that are featured in the exhibition are 3 pencil images, 3 portrait pieces. One of them is a portrait piece of my mother. The second is a portrait of another artist featured in the exhibition, Audrey Johnson. And the third is a pastor friend of mine in Rhode Island within his portrait.
So these all have a significant meaning to you. Share what that is.
So every piece that I do, I always say has a story attached to it. The portrait image of my mother, she asked me to draw that some years prior to her being diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And so I had been working on that image for a while, in and out. And then, of course, it became so immediate when she got that diagnosis in 2005, and then we lost her in 26 days. So there's actually a poem I wrote that goes with the piece. I didn't put it in the show. But originally, when I'm showcasing that piece, which is an heirloom piece for the family, I have the poem displayed. It's entitled 26 Days. So that piece actually is 32 inches by 40 inches. I used about 6 different types of graphite pencil to create that image. Audrey's piece is in a series of portraits that I normally do. It's another graphite pencil piece. I have a crosshatch technique I learned in high school that I've been doing since then. And also as a teaching artist, I teach that technique. And I had actually came back from burying my mother and finished Audrey's piece before I started the final stage of my mother's piece in 2005. So I had initially finished Audrey's hat, which was pretty intense because you're very eclectic and she's always very stylish. And so she was wearing all of these funky materials one day, and I took some headshots of her. And so I had put it aside, but I picked it back up when I came back from burying my mother, and I finished it before I went on to my mother's piece. Every head bowed is Pastor Carl. He is out of Rhode Island, where I used to live for about 10 years, one of my stops. And it's a portrait image of him in prayer.
Each piece holds a significant meaning to you. I'm fascinated by the piece that you said the subject was wearing a variety of textures. And as an artist and as an instructor, a layperson does not understand the complexity involved with how you get those textures to come across.
Right.
Share a little bit of that with us.
Yeah, that's a technique I teach in my drawing classes. Certainly, it's the way you handle the pencil. The pencil has been my friend since age 6. That's when I started doing artwork, and it was, naturally gifted. My brother, Donald Ray, was the other gifted artist in the family, but he never pursued it as a career. But when they saw that I was more than capable of moving forward with the art, my mother and my brother supported me on that. So that's where I started. The technique itself is that you have to get used to the nuances of the pencil, whether you have it on the side, whether you have it on the tip. It will give you a variety of strokes that are necessary to capture the hair right and to also capture texture correctly.
Is there, and I'm not sure if I'm going to ask you this question correctly, is there also a removal that adds to the picture? Is there an erasing away of some of the things that you put?
Yes, it is. And then I teach about pressure, the amount of pressure you should be placing on that pencil so that you don't leave a permanent indent of the pencil stroke if you don't want it there. So it's a degree of stages so that you can understand the flexibility of the pencil, how much pressure you need to pull away from to create a light stroke as opposed to a bolder stroke. So it's all of these little techniques with, I use, I think maybe about 3 different types of erasers when I'm working.
So you have the three pieces, Mama, Audrey, and Every Head Bow, Every Eye Close, at
Yeah.
launch, Art in the Age of Solidarity. What has your participation in this exhibition meant to you?
Well, it's been very important. I'm just returning home to Ohio. I've been showing my work, really been on the road well over 20 years nationally, exhibiting my work in different states. And so that's pretty much been my focus. And I was very much a part of a lot of the Black artist groups that were here before I left. So it was important, and certainly to share the history with the, as we say, the younger ones, since I'm the elder now, um, about the history of the strong Black arts movement here in Toledo. So I was asked to come in as an advisor when this originally formed, and I'm still an advisor, but also a member.
You've been traveling the country for the past 20 years, is that correct?
Yeah, with my art. And, my career hasn't always been on the straight and narrow way, but it's allowed me to meet a lot of different people. The art has been seen in many different types of places. I've been afforded many opportunities. So, yes, it's what we do as artists. We, as I say, we pack a bag and keep it moving. So that's what I've been doing.
What has that experience been like for you?
Well, it has its own ups and downs, depending on the climate around the country. As artists, we're always on the borderline there, hanging on. And so the fluctuation of financials and income coming in, income coming out, those are things that we have to deal with, the flexibilities of that. So, sometimes it's smooth sailing, sometimes it's a little bumpy, but it's always fulfilling. So I don't regret any steps that I had to take to really promote myself and my work.
What final comments do you have for us?
That I'm primarily a social commentary artist. So also with that, I do the portrait and figurative work as well. I wanted to say art in the age of solidarity, what it means to me specifically is an artistic community united, fighting for the same cause. And so that's really the culmination of this coalition coming together. That also when people view my work, in my portrait and figurative work, I create images that touch your soul, so they're impactful. And certainly in my social commentary work, to move my audience from awareness to engagement on social issues without alienating the audience, since they are the vehicles of change.
Thank you so much, Simone Spruce.
Thank you.
Simone Spruce has three prints featured in Launch, Art in the Age of Solidarity, on display at the Terhune Gallery in the Center for Fine and Performing Arts building at Owens Community College.